Welcome to this CSS tutorial, and in this video we're going to be creating a button. Okay, we're going to be creating a button in this video, and as you can see here, we are still going to be using our unordered list to create a button. And this is not going to be a menu, this is not going to be our navbar, it's not going to be a navbar, this is just going to be a button. We are going to be creating a button in this video, and we are still going to be using the unordered list, as you can see here. So inside this unordered list, there is a list items as always, and we gave it a class of button. So that's why we are going to be creating a button. You can see all these list items, they have a class of button. Okay, so let's just dive quickly and start styling this. So this is the default, this is how it looks. So we are going to start styling these buttons. So let's go back to our styles at CSS. So I already have this, let me just paste it and I will explain it. So this is our button class, and we gave it a background color of E7, 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 and you can use any background color you want. This is just a hex code. We're giving it a hex code, so you can use any background color you want. And we gave it a border of 1 pixel solid. Okay, we all know what border does. The border is just, first of all, let me refresh this before I explain it. So I'll refresh now. So I have refreshed. This is our button. So this is what this stylings over here is giving to this button over here. So as I said, the border of 1 pixel solid. So this is the border. We all know what border does, and we are giving it a border radius of 3 pixels. Once again, we also know what the border radius does. So the border radius curves our border, as you are seeing here, and we are giving it a font of 700. So this perimeter for the 700, so we have here the perimeter for the 700 is just how bold I want my text to be. So the 700 is for the bold, and then this perimeter for 13 pixels, this is just the 13 pixels for the text. Okay, as for the 700 is for the bold, and the 13 pixels is for the text, how big I want the text to be. For the 700 is just how bold I want the text to be. Now for the Helvetica and Arial, this is the font, Helvetica font and the Arial font. So if the browser fails to load the Helvetica font, the browser will load the Arial font. So that is the rule set for our fonts. Okay, so we are giving it we are giving it a height of 30 pixels, and we are also giving it a line height of 28 pixels. So now one thing to notice here, I want you to make sure you give the line height a number closer to the height, as you see here. So I gave the line height 28 pixel, and 28 is closer to 30. Why? Because when specifying a line height automatically centers the text inside of our button. Okay, line height centers the text inside of our button, and I want you to make sure you give the line height a number closer to the height. So that's why we are giving it a line height of 28 pixels, which is closer to 30. So don't go on and give a line height of 20 and give a height of 30. Make sure the number of the line height is closer to the height. Okay, so we gave it a line height of 28 pixels and the height of 30 pixels, and this will center the text inside of your button. We also gave it a padding of 0 and a padding of 20 pixels. Now for this first perimeter, for the padding, this first perimeter is for the top and the bottom. So we are giving it a padding of 0 for the top and the bottom. That's why, as you can see here, on top of the button there is no padding, and the below down of the button there is also no padding, there is no space. Now for the second perimeter, which is the 20 pixel, the second perimeter is for the left and the right. Okay, I know we haven't talked about this before, but that is it. The second perimeter is for the left and the right. That's why there is space on the left. You can see there is space on the right and there is space on the left. But as for the first perimeter, which is 0, the first perimeter is for the top and the bottom. That's why there is no padding on the top and there is no padding on the bottom. We are giving this a text align of center, and we are also giving this a margin right of 10 pixels. Now we're giving this a margin right of 10 pixels because we want spaces. We don't want our button to be close to each other. We want spaces between them. Now as for this box sizing of border box, I don't want you to worry about this property. We'll be discussing this property in future tutorials. Just know that this box sizing of border box gives our button a box effect. Okay, just know that it gives the button a box effect. Don't worry about this property for now, as we'll be discussing about it in future tutorials. Okay, now we have worked with the button class. What we need to work with now is the unordered list. Now what do we want to give this unordered list? We want to remove these bullet points, so we are going to give this a list style. No, first of all, let's give it a padding, because we don't want the browser adding any padding. We're going to give this a padding of 0, because we don't want any padding there. And we're also going to give this a line. Sorry, we're going to give this a list style, list hyphen style of none, because we want to remove the bullet points. Now if we refresh this, now you can see those 4 dots are gone, and there is also no padding here. We have removed the padding, and those 4 dots are gone. So that is what the list style of none does. So the next property, the next thing we need to work on now is we need to work with our list item, li. So we are following the working tree here. So if you go back to our index.html, we worked with the, first of all, we worked with the button. Now we worked with the unordered list, and now we want to work with the list item. After we work with the list item, we are going to work with the anchor tag. So now let's go back to our style sheet. For the list item, I want to if you want to leave your buttons like this in a top-down order, it's up to you. You can leave it like this, but I don't want to leave my buttons like this. I want to make sure they are side by side. So that's why I'm going to display this inline. By displaying this inline now, this is going to position my buttons side by side. Okay, so now they are now side by side. So let's work with the anchor tag, which is the link. As for the link, we want to give the text decoration, text hyphen decoration of none. The text decoration of none, as we all know, is going to remove the underline from our text. So if you refresh this now, you can see the underline, they are gone. Now we are going to give this a color of black. We're also going to, let's refresh this first. Now we have a black text, and we are also going to give this a float of left. Now I don't want you to worry about this float left. You might be confused and be asking yourself, why are we floating this to the left? Let's refresh this. As you can see, by floating this to the left, it has automatically increased the size of our button. Okay, so by giving this a float of left, it will automatically increase the size of our button. Now don't worry about this for now. You might be confused as to, you might be asking yourself, why does a float of left increase the size of our button? But don't worry about this. We'll be discussing this in future tutorials as to why a float of left will increase the size of our button. Don't worry about it for now, but just know that by putting a float of left to this link, it will automatically increase the size of your button. Okay, don't worry about it. We'll be discussing about it in future tutorials. Now what we need to do now, we need to create a hover effect, and that is the most important thing in button. It's the most important thing in buttons. You need to add a hover effect. It's very important when using buttons. So we give our colon, and then you specify hover. We have done this before. As for the hover, we want to give this a background color of blue. Background color of blue. And then we're going to give this a color of white. Now if you refresh this now, hover over this, now you can see we have a beautiful button. You can see the hover effect, the background color of blue and a color of white. So we have a beautiful hover effect now for our button. So this is how to create a button in CSS, okay? In HTML and CSS, this is how you create a button. We have successfully created a beautiful button here. So, all right, that will be it for this video. I will see you guys in